Chainsaw Man!
Chainsaw Man!
How's it going, Vex?
It's been pretty good. It's been an interesting year.
Has your week, month, year been more or less interesting than Denji's?
Probably.
At least as interesting. I know you got in the crash from the Uber
the TSA debacle.
Yeah, and then your dad fucking put on Facebook that you got arrested for being a tranny in the South, which was pretty intense.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Yeah. So yeah, interesting weekend.
Yeah.
I just got technically out of it.
But no one cutting your dick off.
No.
Free bottom surgery though. I mean,
we went the same place.
Yeah, lots of people are tweeting that. Yeah, but see, this is an interesting chapter because you have to walk a fine tightrope because you don't want to not have media literacy, because as silly goofy as this chapter, as haha funny sex go burr chapter this is, there's also deepness to it, and the people that don't recognize the deepness are the people that don't have the media literacy, right? There's the hypersexual element that we'll discuss. There's I don't know if you saw the thing I retweeted about him like chewing on his finger and that kind of being a callback to like Makima and like trauma, that, you know what I mean? Did you see that one or no?
I saw something about trauma and like the biting the finger. I don't know if it was you that retweeted it or like a bunch of people that we follow.
So I can jump right into that. Like when it's crazy how much he's like a normal person, normal human, and then someone mentions the sex thing and it's like instantly he's like, oh, sex? Yeah. And again, that could be seen as like he's so unserious, but I'm going to assume that Fujimoto's doing a more, especially considering he like breaks down towards the end of the chapter. What was I going to say? But like, yeah, so during that moment, he caresses his face and he bites his finger, and then he goes into the like, yes, I do want sex. And it's very similar to what Makima did, and like probably one of my favorite scenes in all of Chainsaw Man, where she's like, feel what my ear feels like, memorize the shape of my face. And then she bites his finger and she's like, memorize how that bite feels. Then the kiss feels better, right? Then the holding the tit feels better. So, to me, it's a tale as old as time with Denji. He's trying to squeeze out any bit of dopamine, and that's like probably, even despite the fact that Makima was his abuser and he was definitely taken advantage of, he did get like some crumbs of happiness out of that time in his life. That was an interesting time in his life where he went from total poverty to, the last chapter, because we're talking about 2 chapters here, where he literally says like, I used to eat toilet paper from public bathrooms to get like some fiber and so I wouldn't starve to death. I cannot go back to that. And I love that because you can see that like Asa, despite the fact, she's been through bullying and stuff like that, but she's never been that poor. You could tell that didn't even register with her. Like her brain didn't even consider like what she's like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
And so real quick, one last thing, and then, but basically like, as fucked up as it was, what happened with him and Makima, I still think, in a weird way, he looks back at that time in his life, at least leading up to Power getting fucking eviscerated with the birthday cake in her hand. I think up to that point, he probably considers that like the happiest time in his life, because he gained a family, he gained family, friends, he gained wealth, he had all the food he wanted, and he had a goal. Nothing, you know what I mean? Like, he thought he had a chance with this beautiful woman, Makima. So, that was a crazy time in his life, and now he's kind of stumbled back into monotony, and, like, I feel like it's almost, despite the fact that, like, it was bad stuff happening to him, he has yet to kind of feel the dopamine that he felt in that chunk of his life, and that's one of the reasons he feels so numb and dull, and he's desperately chasing that.
Yeah, like, there's something to be said about a lot of this, and I have, like, personal interest in a lot of what's going on here. Which is something I don't really have a lot with Chainsaw Man, like a personal interest and like knowledge of what's going on in the chapter, Well,
you've had similar issues with the hypersexuality stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like I do deal with hypersexuality, and like that is why I resonate with characters like Angel Dust as well. Like there's something that is to be said about like that dopamine chasing, especially if you come from like trauma or being abused, that you do like the want to be desired, essentially, right? Like the fact that somebody is actually looking at you, whether it's like an object or something or like a person in general, like there is something to be like, I have something for tonight, right? I have someone beside me. I have, this rush of dopamine. I know it won't last, but at the same time, I'm, here in the moment, and I feel loved, even if I am in a sense of like literally being used as a human fleshlight.
Yeah, I mean, everyone chooses their vice, right? Like, for
Mhm.
me, it's like I always, like, binge eat on dinner, because I'm, like, looking forward to that big rush of dopamines. For Denji, he has never had, like, a normal, non-weird sexual experience. It's
Right.
whether it's the girl puking in his mouth, almost getting fucked as a minor, by a person of legal age, the fucking Rize biting his tongue off, all these. I know there's more. Oh, the fucking, and then not to even mention sexual assault, Chan. Right? Like, I mean, he has never
Not
had
been a
a
victim.
normal moment, and I think he craves that intimacy because, again, my read on Denji from the beginning has always been he keeps jumping from thing to thing, thinking it's going to be the thing that makes him happy, right? Like, oh, I'm going to put all this shit on my toast. Oh, and it's interesting, right? The lines in this chapter, it kind of reminded me completely of that big breakdown moment he had with when Kishibe, him, and Kobani were in that little bunker hiding from Makima in part one, where he kind of straight up came out and said it like, fuck it, I want a heart. Every time he gets broken down to his like bare bones essentials, he's like, I do everything I do because I desperately want sex, and I don't give a fuck what you think about that. And he says it again in this one. He's like, it's never been about the admiration or the praise or being a hero. I just want a harem. I want all the sex. And it's like, bro, man, like if man ever gets the sex, it's going to be so underwhelming to what he's hyped it up to be, and then that's going to be the final nail in the coffin. He's going to fucking kill himself.
Yeah, like, and that might be what he needs, is like he needs to have that for him to be like, well, damn, like being Chainsaw Man isn't worth it. Maybe that's how this part wraps up, right? And like they separate the two parts and that's it. Like chasing the high was never worth it was kind of the metaphor, maybe. And I would kind of respect that in a way. Like as somebody who has chased that high forever, I respect the fact that now that I have some semblance of normalcy in my life and I'm doing something that I actually enjoy, it lessens my need to chase that high.
Yes. Well, to me, and to kind of go along with what you're saying there, Denji was at his happiest when he was just hanging out with Power and Aki. And, like, there's that part in part one where he's like, here I am in the bath with a naked girl, but I don't see her like that. I see her more like a sister. I'm not attracted to her, and I'm not, but I'm loving, I love being with her. And I think that was the most content and happy he felt. And the moment he had that is when Makima fucking eviscerated her, right? And I think that you can kind of look at what was happening in this last two chapters as what he needs versus like the demons that keep coming in, right? Because like I think last chapter, Asa. Here's a girl, Asa, that genuinely cares about him as a person, right? She actually believes what S.A. pretended to, when she was like, I'm a Denji fan. I actually care about you, Denji, as a person. That's legitimately Asa. She cares about Denji as a person. She wants to separate him from Chainsaw Man and continue to be his friend, just without any of that extra. Like, it's not because, ooh, you're a superhero, And I think, just that person who's like, she's not here to fuck him. She's not here to like, oh, I'll suck your dick and make you feel better. All that shallow shit. She's like, let's go get something to eat. Let's look for your sister. Let's look for your daughter together. And then Katana Man comes in with his toxic shit, and immediately he spirals down the fucking trauma pipeline again. So like you can see what Denji needs, but it's always ruined.
Yep, it's really fucking poetic in a way. Like,
wait, hold on. I just realized we're on the Smiling Friends fucking backdrop. I'll change that in editing.
Hilarious. It's kind of poetic in a way, though, because, like, you see the duality of Denji throughout these last two chapters, where he has, like, his normal side, where he wants, or this last batch of chapters, really, where he wants to, find Nyata, he wants to, have, that part of his life back in a way, because now he's done with the rage of wanting to fight, and he realized, like, well, shit, I fucked up something here. but at the same time, you see the fact that he also has that baser instinct, that coping mechanism in there of like, I'm a horny, fucking young adult, and I just want to stick my dick in things because it's the only mindset I've had of like what it is to be human.
Yeah, I
left.
think he lived so long in that poverty. I mean, you can go back to that first chapter where he's laying in that shed with Puchita, and he's like sad about how shitty his life is, and he's going through a list of things that he thinks would make him happy. He's like, I want to be able to eat whatever food I want. I want to be able to play video games with a girl and then like sleep with her, and I just think that he's going down this list of things that he thinks will make him happy when really it's consistent friends and family, but like he keeps getting that ripped away from him, and this is the sad part, right? Is like Nayuta, I think, did make him happy to an extent. I think there was a toxic element there because Nayuta was weird about him not dating or whatever. But like, I do think that made him gave him some consistent happiness, and he was kind of in a blind fit of rage, willing to throw that away, and then even now willing to kind of be like, I really got a nut before I can look for my daughter, and when he realizes how fucked that is, like that he actually was willing to do that, he's like, what is fucking wrong with me?
And I'm always thinking with my dick, and like that is a line that resonated with me too damn much. And I'm just like thinking with, and it's a real thing, right? Like I look back to an old off-topic video where Jeff's like equating like a young him as to a walking penis, right?
Yeah,
he would just go from place to place to place, and it is just like he was live with his dick. And I think a lot of young like AMAB people go through that phase because we don't normalize talking about our emotions, and we don't normalize talking about like how we've been abused to an extent either. And the way that essentially every female in Denji's life has been a groomer to an extent other than Asa. And well, realistically, one personality is grooming him to an extent.
Yeah. Yoru is not great for him, but yeah.
Like Yoru's kind of grooming him to an extent to just fucking use him as a weapon. But like you realize,
well, that was
like,
initially the plan. Maybe now they have a deal to like separate normal Chainsaw Man, right? Yeah,
maybe. But like for the longest time, like that was a form of grooming. And like we realize like how shitty his existence has been throughout this fucking series, and I understand the psychology behind like going from dopamine hit to dopamine hit. Like obviously like people that have been in poverty will once eat normal food and actually have the choice of eating not fucking toilet paper from a public restroom, or having like a normal friendship, or meeting a girl, or meeting somebody that could be their friend or their partner. Like all of these are normal things to the average person, but those that are less fortunate never really have the chance to do some of these. Obviously having a fucking harem is an unrealistic goal, but it's manga, it's fantasy in that concept, right? But like there's so much that I respect Fujimoto for covering in the series in general. Like not a lot of authors would be willing to discuss.
Have a whole chapter where he's like, my dick. It's crazy, bro.
It's not even like the memery of it. It's like
no, that's not even what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you that like the bravery as an author, because you know that a lot of people are gonna read this and think he's just memeing, but like he's being it's very brave to just like I don't know, be willing to make a whole chapter that because yeah.
And like I get that there's the meme of like trans Denji and everything, but that's not the goal here. This is basically like eunuch style, right?
He's
like
clearly not gonna I don't think he's actually gonna get his dick cut off.
I honestly wouldn't be shocked either, though, given what Fujimoto has done in Fire Punch, right? Like the dude is willing to write the most fucked up shit and roll with it.
Yeah. Maybe, but wouldn't it just grow back? As
like Wolverine style.
Yeah,
like, I would assume. Like, well, shit. A funny version of it, growing back and is just bigger.
Hey, cut it off more. But
do it again.
Yeah. Now I
want a horse cock.
Come on, Asa, don't you want this?
Fucking Christ.
I do like, you know what is sad about this chapter though is it's like, you know, if Asa had a crush on him, I can't imagine it's still very, I mean, she probably pities him and feels really bad for him, but I can't imagine this display has made her her lady boner go up for Denji anyway. Because I had to be like,
honestly, probably not.
Yeah.
But I don't think that she's interested in sex in general. So, like, I think she would be like this sex repulsed asexual.
I
almost.
get that vibe. I don't know. It's tough. Let me think. You know, actually, if that's true, she would be a really good like girlfriend or wife for Denji. Because clearly, Denji's like Denji to sex is like alcohol to a fucking alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like maybe it would be better for him to just have like a nice like friend wife. You know, like someone he lives with that like keeps him honest. And yeah. Because I do like, I think Denji, if he ever fucks, it's going to be like a, oh, that was it. Oh, that was it. Oh, that was it. You know.
Honestly, and we know people like that too. Like it's really underwhelming. You know, especially like your first time is the most underwhelming experience of your life because, especially if you're both virgins, like these two, to that extent, like it's going to be the most awkward, disgusting, basically pity sex at this point that they would have.
I mean, it sucks that Makima was such a bad person because I think that advice he gave him about like knowing your partner makes the sex better is genuinely really good advice. You know,
no, literally.
Yeah, and like, because that's how I feel about it. Like when I lost my virginity, it wasn't like a terrible experience. Obviously, we were both like we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, but like it wasn't a terrible experience because we like genuinely liked each other. You know, and
right.
we had dated for like a year and a half before we.
Yeah, it wasn't like the awkward high schooler. We're both virgins.
Yeah, I think if you're jumping right into it with some girl you've known for like a month, then yeah, probably. Yep. And you're both like fucking 17 or something.
Yeah, and that's essentially the experience that these two would have, and then that would probably, you know, crush Denji to the degree of like, well, this is the perfect relationship. You don't really care about it, and I clearly don't anymore either, because it wasn't what I wanted. I must have just wanted a good partner, and then boom, there we go.
Yeah, it would be nice. So I'm going through the last two chapters because there was actually a decent like nice lore, like you know, a rare for Fujimoto like lore drop explain shit. Last chapter where Fami was talking. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
No, I don't have the chapters up. I should probably do that.
Yeah, okay. So it's 165 and 166 is what we're talking about here. Yeah. In 165, Fami just straight up lays it out where it's like, your heart's power is what makes you Chainsaw Man. It's the power of a contract. The terms of your contract required you to live a normal life. If you break the contract, the heart's owner, the real Chainsaw Man, will emerge. If we defeat Chainsaw Man and transplant a human heart into your body, then you can become a normal human again. So it reminds me, and I like that because like that's exactly what Makima did in part one, right? The idea was she gave him a normal life and then crushed it, and that was why Chainsaw Man came back out because he was no longer fulfilling that contract with Puchita because Puchita wanted to see him like just live a normal life and vibe. So and obviously where we're at now in part two, we're getting dangerously close to normal Chainsaw Man coming out again, I think, because his daughter's gone. Especially if he gets his dick cut off, that is the furthest thing from a normal life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, honestly, how fucking funny would it be if she cuts his dick off and that's, like, the activation for Chainsaw, like actual Chainsaw Man to come out?
Fucking, yeah, no, that would be a crazy version of, like, Chainsaw Man coming out. And I kind of understand, like, the logic of, you know, the normal life.
Well, that's exactly what Makima's plan was in the beginning.
Yeah.
She knew that, you know, that was her whole deal. Like the second she killed Power, and of course
that
Aki
shattered,
died. Yeah,
that shattered any semblance of a normal life.
And then he lost his mind, and then actual Chainsaw Man came out. But see, what's interesting is they're talking here like, okay, and then we defeat Chainsaw Man and transplant a normal heart into your body. But like that's gonna be crazy. I can't imagine that's gonna be really hard to do because Makima plus like her army of like fucking 10 hybrids couldn't do it. So I'm really excited to see how that goes.
Well, I mean, they've been starving him of his, you know, normal life as well. So maybe he would be weaker in the presence of Fami here, as you know, because
here's the tough thing about it, because if you remember, one of the things that Makima did was increase public perception of Chainsaw Man to make people fear him less, to make him weaker. But what's been happening in part two is actually the opposite. People fear chainsaws more. You know,
yeah.
So, but then again, people fear chainsaws and war more. Chainsaw Devil and War Devil have been increasing in power like side by side here. So I imagine who's going to be fighting him is going to be mainly the War Devil, obviously, with the help of Katana. And so we have the War Devil, which is a really powerful devil. We have Fami, who I imagine is like comparable power level to Makima when she actually tries.
Right.
And then of course Katana Man, who's just there on the side.
Yeah, who wants to not kill regular Chainsaw Man, but Denji.
Yeah, why are you still here, man? Bro, when he takes him to fucking Condom Girl, his fucking brothel, and he's like, no, my brothel, it burned down.
And it's just like, no, my supplemental income because I'm with the Yakuza, and this was just backroom money laundering for me.
Oh, God, that's so funny, bro. But yeah, like...
I just half expected the diaper guy from Yakuza to just make a cameo here, because why the fuck not at this point?
So going through more lines here, there's the part where Denji, so Fami says all that. Do you have the chapters up, by the way? Because I got
166
up.
Right.
I do want to talk about specific lines from these chapters.
Okay, cool.
So Fami, after she says all that, Denji's like, why do you know about all that? And Fami, like, almost never, like, in a lot of these pages, Fami is not only ignoring Denji, but, like, looking the opposite way. It's like she doesn't even want to make eye contact with him.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is the reason she probably knows all that is because of Makima. I have to imagine that, because I can't remember, Makima had, like, a falling out with her sisters, right? Didn't she say something
like...
Yeah,
she
defeated
was,
them with...
She was at odds or defeated them. Yeah.
Well, I thought she used Chainsaw Man to defeat them. I can't remember totally. I'll have to go back to part 1. But yeah, so there's clearly a history there, which is interesting. Let's see here. I also, let me see. There's the part where he's like, I can't go back to how it used to be, and I really, really like that panel. Because, like, as it's in the background, all the buildings are on fire and
still burning.
And he's like, I can't go back to the way things used to be. And that's such a good panel, because it shows, like, as he's saying, I never want to go back to how things used to be, or how things used to be, it's showing in the background that he... things have already irreparably changed. You know what I mean? Like it's too late. Things are always, you're never gonna go back to your happy life. At least, like, things are moving now.
And moving towards the end of days in the world of Chainsaw Man. So you gotta just fucking suck it up, Buttercup.
And of course, we have Misogyny Man over here, who's like, I don't want to kill Chainsaw Woman. Sounds like he's being a bitch. And then Asa's like, cut him some slack. He just lost his fucking daughter. And he's like, nah, he needs to fuck a woman.
He literally needs to fuck a woman. I know a place here. And everybody was thinking, like, Kobani would be working the brothel.
If she was, she lost another job when it burnt down.
Jesus Christ.
Why can't I catch a fucking break? Yeah, dude, imagine, okay, if that happened, because obviously the reason that everything's gone to shit is because of all those chainsaw zombies, right?
Yeah.
So, like, a year ago, Kobani's working at fucking Burger King, and, like, the Chainsaw Man comes in, yoinks her, and fucking, like, makes her play DDR or whatever. And then, okay, I got my new job as a fucking brothel lady, and, it's shitty, but I'm getting used to it. And then a Chainsaw Man zombie comes in, and she's like, God,
she's unleashed her actual power. The sloppy blowjob devil.
Yeah, exactly. She was probably with the power of the sloppy blowjob devil, she was probably making top money. She's probably like, man, I should have done this from the beginning. This is way better than fucking working at Burger King.
I'm actually a natural. Thanks, contract.
Yeah, her blowjobs are actually so good that, like, no one even asks to, like, actually fuck her. Because, like with the power of the sloppy blowjob devil, like, it feels just as good, if not better, than, like, her pussy.
We are, like, total misogynists in this one.
No. Well, if you just give me a couple seconds, I can go and pull out my Bernie Sanders yard sign from 2020, and you'll see that I'm clearly not a misogynist. No, obviously. Hey, listen, I think, like we've talked about before, I feel like I gotta cover my ass here. There's like a bell curve. There's like a horseshoe theory when it comes to politics, okay? If you're like a centrist, center left, center right, you're the kind of person who's like, well, you don't want to talk all weird and gross about sex. That's uncouth. But once you get, so like if you're like a Hillary Clinton liberal, you're like,
how dare you say something disparaging?
I'm gonna give you an idea, okay? Hillary Clinton liberals are like the ones that are wearing like the knitted pussy hats. You know what I mean? You remember that, right? And then when you go a little further left to Bernie Sanders leftists, we're all fucking, okay? But we do it respectfully. We're respectfully fucking. That's how I like to look at it, okay?
Yeah.
Because to be horny is to be human. And it's okay as long as you respect the people you're fucking.
Exactly. And one of us in this call had an OnlyFans.
It wasn't me.
I will forever fucking advocate for sex work. It is actual work.
Exactly. And that's why I'm genuinely saying, like, obviously Kobani didn't want to do that. But if she did, God bless. And make your own money. Don't give it to your shit fuck family.
No, absolutely. Let your brother just join the cult. Fuck him.
But yeah, so...
Who is still here, by the way, for some reason.
I can't, that's actually... Okay, I remember when we were talking about this, like, a month ago, it was annoying. Now it's just funny. Like, the fact that they're
still here. Fammy is still here.
Well, Fammy makes sense, I think. Don't you think?
Yeah, Fammy makes sense. But why is Katana and fucking Benny Brothers
Katana's
still here?
waiting for his moment to fuck up Denji. He's not leaving until he gets to fuck up Denji, clearly.
You know what? Katana Man, take one for the team. You're the bottom in this. Yeah, fuck it.
Well, they should let Katana Man cut off Denji's dick. That feels like something.
Literally, just pull his sword out, fucking ran 6 from Time Force style, boom, there, fucking bitch.
Genuinely, the real reason that those stupid fucking kids are there is probably because they're like established to be like Chainsaw Man fans. I genuinely think that it's just like imagine, right, if you're out in the street and you're doing your thing or whatever, and then like I'm trying to think who's like a celebrity that you would like bark lick their feet if you met them.
Fucking the bad part is I've met most of the celebrities at this point that I would bark like my people.
There's got to be one there's got to be one.
Probably Jeff from Achievement Hunter. I would probably follow around. What the fuck?
So you know, imagine you're at a bar and then Jeff from Achievement Hunter comes in with like 5 of his other friends that not even like people from Achievement Hunter and Rich Teeth, just like people in his personal life. Right. But Jeff at this point he's like so drunk that he's like actually willing, like, oh, you're a fan? Fuck it, come bar hopping with us. You tell me you'd leave? You tell me you wouldn't do that?
No, I would. If it was peak drunk Jeff, I would absolutely follow him. Like that would be so much fun.
So I feel like that's kind of what's happening with these kids is they're big Chainsaw Man fans, but as they continue to follow, they're like, wow, this guy kind of sucks.
No, literally.
This is like, such a don't meet your heroes kind of moment. They're like, wow, just Chainsaw Man.
Absolutely. This is a don't meet your heroes moment. And I kind of like that level of commentary too.
Yes. I actually hope that we get like a speech from them. Like, because there was that moment in this chapter where he's like, and I think that a lot of people were interpreting this as like directly to the fans as well, the fans that are inevitably going to laugh at this and think it's just like lol sex meme. Mm-hmm. But there's the part where Kobani's brother kind of starts like laughing, but like kind of a nervous laugh, and then Denji's like, "It's not funny, it's not a joke," Mm-hmm. like what do you even say to this,
Yeah, literally, like it's real too. Like I understand like both sides of that, right? Like the fans thinking haha funny because they have like fucking smooth brains, and then
I mean I think it can be both. It is kind of funny, but there's a deepness to it, and you have to acknowledge that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But there's the unwillingness, at least on Twitter, to acknowledge that it's deeper than that. And I'm like, you have zero media literacy, and like I hate that. I hate how little media literacy there is in the world at this point.
Yeah,
it's
and you
disgusting.
and I were the first people to kind of say when Chainsaw Man was bothering us, right? Like, there's been chapters that have been like very stupid. These last two have been really interesting. Because it's like character focus on characters we care about.
Right, like, and I respect that we've been able to, like, remain neutral to that level. Like, there are plenty of people that will either play, like, the absolute negative side of every piece of media that they touch, and even if they don't touch it. I'm talking, like, the fucking people clowning on goddamn Assassin's Creed, for example. Because you have a fictional game with an actual character from history, and there are people like, but he was technically a retainer who was also a fucking samurai, right? I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows there. Or the Yasuke. When you have that side of it just being completely negative, and like you have your fucking yellow flashes and fucking quarterings just being like death to anything woke. But you also have the people that will just fucking, for the sake of ad revenue, slob every fucking piece of media they touch. And I'm like, neither one of these needs to be the thing. You have to be honest with your audience and what you fucking see. And, In
general, there's like a bad habit of people like if if someone like if there's like one or two bad chapters in a row, I'll see people just like never give the thing a chance again. Like any, you know what I mean? It'll be like, oh, it's shit forever now, and it's like, man, things can be good and then bad and then good again.
Yeah, like there's never going to be 100% banger chapters every fucking time for anything, and like there's a reason why. Like at a certain point, I'm like, well, I didn't really want to review every fucking chapter, and I kept suggesting for a while, like maybe we should review it, chapters at a time, like 2, 3, 4 of them. And like now that we're doing 2 at a time, and we're seeing like an upturn in quality, we even are like, you suggested, like if we have a banger chapter like this, we'll just do it right away.
Yeah, I think we'll just go off of vibes. Like if we really like a chapter, we'll talk about it. If we feel like there's nothing to talk about, we'll give it some time and talk about 2 at once.
Yeah, like, and that's a good way to have a good amount of shit to talk about. Like, I don't know how long we've been rolling because I don't have the Skype call up at the time. At the
about
moment,
a half hour.
But like we've realistically not talked about a lot that's happened, but at the same time we've been able to have a lot of conversation, and like usually we stretch bullshit into everything else to make the half hour.
Yeah, this has been a really good set of chapters for discussing for sure.
Like but what really got me was like the emotion conveyed here on 12 to 13 in this recent chapter. Like you can see that Denji is actually like breaking down. And
he made it a full page too, which is usually what authors do when they want it to be like something important or serious.
Right. Like the actual, like, he's in tears because he's realizing like all of his life, all of like up to now, like all his goal has just been pure horniness. And like I understand like the fucking shit that goes through your mind when like you just dig your fucking self from one place to another thinking with your dick. Like it's a very dangerous path to fall on too.
Yeah, not something that I've had much experience with. I've been horny, but I've always just been content with masturbating, and I think a lot of that comes from I didn't have any access to like willing women when I was like a high schooler because I was like a fat like autistic idiot. I feel like it feels like some people have like this level of confidence where somehow they're like fucking left and right. It's like I didn't have the opportunity to ever do that, so I didn't. I'm
sure you would have found somebody that would have been willing to sleep with you too at that point, because there is a quirk.
If I was confident, I think I was so lacking in confidence that I wouldn't even like talk to women back then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's a very real thing too. Like you have to have some level of confidence to even approach that degree, and like.
But it's just interesting. I'm not trying to make this all about me. I'm just saying like it's interesting because like it's not something that I've been through, but we know people. I won't say her name, but you remember the girl from our chat, like that chat a while back that had like that was like seriously sex addicted, and to a point where it like affected her life. You remember that? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But and like it's so I know that exists. Like I know people who rub themselves until they're like bleeding and blistered, so it's like luckily that's never been that much of an issue to me, but it definitely is a thing. And but yeah, so I mean, and I love just a couple more lines I wanted to point out that I love from this chapter. I just love how desperately he's trying to justify it. He's like, that's like a thing, like scientifically, right? Like I'm probably depressed because I haven't like jerked off in a while. That's like scientifically speaking. And he's like, come on guys, like for guys like you feel me, right guys? And then just nothing. Crickets.
Yeah, like there is a need to release for like AMAP people, right?
But you're like, not gonna get depressed like that.
No. Like it's actually used as kind of like a quick like dopamine boom, and then it can even like help people sleep there scientifically.
Oh yeah, it's really relaxing. But like the way Denji was trying to talk about it was
this is nonsense.
The depression I'm feeling about my daughter being missing. If I just nut, I'll be all good.
Like straight to jail for that phrase of sentence right there. Like
I didn't even think about that. It's okay, FBI. It's okay. She's my adoptive daughter. We're not blood related.
Straight to prison.
FBI, it's okay. She's actually one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and despite the fact that she looks
the goddamn insane asylum,
despite the fact that she looks like she's 14, she's actually thousands of years old. You can ask her.
The Kana theory doesn't work here. Prison asylum.
Oh my god! Wow.
Like this is before they were gutted by the government too. So.
Yeah. Oh man, bro. That's crazy.
Like the fact that we fucking have like so little access to fucking mental health care also ties back to Ronald Reagan.
Ugh, Reagan. That's
but,
my favorite meme. It's like the Drake and Josh, and you know how they would always be like Megan. There was a meme where they edited the subtitle and it was like me whenever I think about why everything's awful in America. Reagan.
mm-hmm. God, it's real though. It's fucking real.
The amount of shit he was able to accomplish is kind of wild for one fucking president. Yeah.
No kidding. The funny thing is like the amount of concern from Asa here throughout these chapters is just fucking crazy to me. Like it shows how deeply she actually cares about Denji as a person, that she's willing to do something as fucking crazy as cutting his dick off.
Well, okay, so we need to separate Asa and Denji here. There's a clear panel where it switches to Yoru before that conversation is had. But before right that, there's the panel of Asa. She's very. You can tell she feels bad for him. There's like a lot of pity there. There's a lot of. I'm sure there's a lot of like, wow, this guy's like pathetic, but also at the same time, I feel very bad for him. You know, I imagine she. You know, I imagine she relates a bit to, you know, they had very different problems, but obviously she's very unpopular. Now she's popular because she's been through all this shit that's made her super strong and like this like object of like importance in this weird, I don't know. There's a lot of things that are going on with her. She's had a huge confidence boost, obviously, but like she used to be in a weird position as well where like she hated people and everyone hated her, and so, you know, I mean, I feel like she feels for him and she feels bad for him. But yeah, it's Yoru who's like, I'm sick of this shit. If you I'll just cut your dick off and then can we fight, please? You know,
yeah, literally, like hop in this back alley. We'll take care of this problem.
That's kind of what I'm like logistically, like story wise. That's kind of what I'm hoping is what this is gonna do is like begin the action section because you know these chapters have been fun, but it's been a while since we've had like a decent action chunk. I feel like maybe. Right. Maybe this whatever happens in this alleyway might lead to like the fight happening is what I'm hoping for.
Oh god, yeah. Like I'm assuming that's where we're going to be headed. Like I'm also assuming that there might be like a level of like fuckery here because we don't know who's who and what is the actual goal here. Like is there any trickery between the Chainsaw Man Church here? Are they really aligned with their fucking goals or do they want you know, because these are fucking kids too. Like they could be working both sides of this, you know. And we also really need to figure out like where the fucking Nyata is, obviously.
Nyata, man, she's about to. I don't even know, bro. Because I mean, Nyata said that thing before she left. She was like, "Why don't we just like take over the planet and like rule over them like the humans?" So maybe she's gonna work on that.
Yeah. And maybe
bro,
one of
Nyata's gonna be on
like...
Nyata's gonna be on the Death Devil's side. Like actually, like fuck it, killing all humanity.
Yeah, like full-on fucking Devilman level carnage at the hands of a literal fucking child. Why not? Like, I don't not expect anything from Fujimoto. Having read, like, the vast majority of his works, I do not expect anything. Like, the man has written the most absurd but also the most wholesome stories on the planet. So I can expect him to take a story anywhere. And that's something I love about like his writing style is like his willingness to be that bold, disgusting, degenerate, but at the same time tell a very fantastic and very wholesome story. It's the fucking way we can show actual growth of a character through such fucking filth is sometimes really... I guess it's the same reason I look at horror with such a high regard, because we can tell some very human stories through the most disgusting circumstances.
Oh yeah, dude. The more fucked up my fiction, the better. I agree.
But
yeah, I'm excited to see. Like, I mean, what a fucking place for that chapter to end.
Right, literally, like you Packer's a problem. Let's go in the back alley and cut that bitch off. And I'm curious if. Well,
also,
actually,
it's not the dick. You got to cut off the balls. The balls is where the horny is made.
Yeah, literally. Give Denji an orchiectomy.
That's what we need bottom to do. Surgery. It is time.
like it is realistically like the funniest fucking place to end a fucking chapter, and the fact that like you're right, like we haven't had a fucking action chapter. This might be where Chainsaw Man breaks out, Denji separated. We can finally fucking find another heart to slap in this bitch and just get the fucking plot rolling. And maybe in part 2 by the end of the year.
Doubt. Hard doubt at the pace we're going. Bro, listen, these chapters have been great, but realistically, nothing is happening. These last two chapters have been, we're on the train, we're off the train, we're back on the train.
No, like, no doubt, but, like, if we go breakneck pace like we did with, like, say, the Bomb Devil arc, right?
Nah, see, that's OG, that's pre-time skip change, or Fujimoto. Man is different now. I don't believe it.
You're right. Like, I don't buy it either, but I can see if we have that kind of pace for a fight, we can knock at least 1 or 2 plot points out per fucking action.
It would be cool. I remember when the Makima shit started, that shit was breakneck speed till the end. You know, from the beach, her on the beach with Aki and Angel to fucking the end. It just felt like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of wild. That'd be such weird pacing if that's what he chose to do. Like, it's all slow and weird, and then everything just kicks the fuck off.
It was like the epilogue is like fucking end of Evangelion. Nobody liked the actual ending, so we had to write a whole other part.
Yeah, so just like Evangelion, we need a shot where Denji's like masturbating over like someone.
No, even in the theater, that was awkward to watch.
Now, of course, that's awkward as fuck. I would not want to see that in the theater with anyone.
I wanted to see that in fucking 4DX, man. Okay, like there is something
4DX,
about the sound.
You're in one of those chairs that like shakes when she. Oh, so when he came, did it like mist you?
No, honestly, I was shocked. That's disgusting.
Puts a little fucking Nickelodeon gack on your face when he comes.
No.
And with that, unless you had anything else to say.
Like, it was really cool though, like seeing that fucking action of end of Evangelion and 4DX. That was fucking amazing. But like that scene, everybody's just like, "Oh, it's still disgusting." I'm like, "Yeah, of course it is."
Bro,
It's
I can't
fucking,
wait.
It's like literal assault. Come on.
Bro, when the Bomb Devil movie comes out, you, me, and Allie need to go and see that all together.
I would love it if we actually had that in 4DX too. Like fucking the action of like Typhoon Devil and
Bro,
shit.
the Bomb Devil fights are nuts. I mean, even before Typhoon Devil's a thing, like she's doing that shit where she's like flying up into the sky and then fucking like drop kicking like down to explode a whole
like
building.
If that isn't like Ruby on her scythe levels of fucking movement, I'm gonna be pissed.
Dude, listen, I have no doubt that that's gonna look amazing. I mean, the season 1 looked phenomenal. And it's a movie, and movies usually have more budget than anime seasons.
Like I'm fucking I have like such high expectations for that movie.
That is the action arc of Chainsaw Man,
and I'm not even a fan of that fucking. I
know you don't like that character, but that arc is amazing. You have to admit.
Like 100%. Like that fucking arc is literally made to be like the DB superheroes movie style.
It's only like a volume and a half, 2 volumes, so it makes sense why they're doing it as a movie. I mean, it's very short.
And like there's so like almost the rest of Chainsaw Man past like the International Assassins arc could be like half of a season, if that.
So the one that I think needs a season is the International Assassin, because that one was very long and bloated and a lot of characters. But like
they
all the
could do like
shit,
the final like Gun Devil / End fight as a movie too.
Yeah. Yes.
And imagine that fight as a movie.
The end of part 1 Chainsaw Man, from the beach to the end, is some of the best weekly manga I've ever read in my life. Like, to this day,
100%.
I miss that so much. It was so fucking good. Oh my god.
Like literally that and Falling Devil like was so fucking interesting to read week to week, because like the Falling Devil had some of the best designs.
Falling Devil is very good. I wouldn't put it up on par with the end of part 1, but Falling Devil is probably some of the best stuff from part 2.
Yeah, like it's not like the quality of that like story wise, but like design wise.
Yeah, and also like the concepts where like shit's getting flipped upside down. Like that's what I want to see more of from Chainsaw Man. Like I love these conversations, but like it feels lately, and this is I think what happens to all artists like that get burnt out. Like they're it's easy enough to make dialogue and text. The hard part is the drawing. You know what I mean? And like it feels like they, Togashi and now him. It just feels like they get so sick of the drawing part of it, and like because people have mentioned his like paneling when it comes to action has been like much less good than part 1 was, which is a shame, because I really liked his action in part 1.
Like the school shooter part was like the best paneling that he done in
part 2. Yeah, probably.
And like it's no fault of his. It's very much an artist thing. Like I get burnt out on just like music in general too. Like it's something that like all sorts of artists fucking see. And as unfortunate as it is, it's a very this industry in particular, like the manga industry, is meant to churn people out so quickly as well. We see it time and time again. Like a series starts to take off, and then because it doesn't really do well for those first few weeks, for the first few months, we talked about this countless times on the other podcast, like it's canceled, and then that disheartens them. But when you get popular, you fall into those categories of like either Oda, Togashi, or Kishimoto, right? And you end up either, killing yourself for the art like Togashi, right? Where like you see his inability to actually like complete chapters at a consistent pace, or you have like the paneling mistakes of Oda to where like the anime is kind of like your touch up, right? Red, you told me,
Oda's
like,
art used to be so clean. It's not bad by any means, and you can still tell that like when he chooses to like, this particular double page spread I'm gonna put a lot of effort into, like he's still got it. It's just you can tell that he's like very tired, so like it's not nearly as clean, like perfectly clean as it was in like pre-time skip. And then you have what was the other Kishimoto, who just can't adapt with the times.
Yeah, literally. And we also saw that with like Torko's author with Bill King. Like it felt like it was pulled out of the 90s, where it was all tropey and just shit. And like it.
Yeah, no one's gonna be interested in just like a generic shonen anymore. You gotta have like some kind of shtick or gimmick. Not even just gimmick makes it sound bad, but like you gotta constantly be evolving. Chainsaw Man was like a cool deconstruction of shonen.
Yep. My Hero had its own deconstruction at the beginning.
My Hero to me survived in the beginning purely because of the political elements. I thought it was the way that it tackled like a society with superpowers was super interesting, but then once it kind of was just it just devolved back into what it was deconstructing. It made the same mistake as Naruto, where like you had all these cool jutsus and hand-to-hand combat, and then towards the end it's just like we're shooting beams at each other, and it's the same thing's happening in My Hero.
Yeah, I feel like JJK is kind of falling into that trap as well.
Kind of. I'll give JJK credit. It's not stretching it out. It's going to end. It's supposed to end this year, and that's pretty short as shonen manga goes.
Yeah,
so I'll give credit there.
Yeah, it's short, but like this last fight is drug on so fucking long. It's like why? It feels like the war.
Yeah. I can give what's the word? Some excuse for, or like. Oh, what's the word? Yeah, I guess excuse. If it's like the final fight against the guy that's been hyped up the whole series, I'm okay with the fight being long, because like one of my biggest pet peeves in shows is like when it's like this guy is super powerful and then they beat him in like one episode or one chapter.
Yeah.
So I'm actually okay with that being kind of long. Like I love Gravity Falls. I thought Bill Cipher was too quick. Like despite the fact that Bill Cipher was a 3-part finale, still felt too quick. He should have had a whole season.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
like it just feels like the Sukuna fight has just drug on through the whole cast for so fucking long. It is just like, okay, but like, can we be done now?
So I've been reading it with Allie. I don't know the total context of what's happening in that fight, but I've been kind of reading it week by week with Allie because she likes that series, and it strikes me as something that would be a lot better on binge. Like the week-to-week nature of it is really what's killing it, I think. You know what I mean?
And also, I agree with like SkyZed, who's a member of our community. Like the spoiler culture around that series in particular is fucking disturbingly bad. Like the fact that I would see panels from that series, and I don't follow JJK regularly. Like I read it in bursts, and I don't fucking think it's the greatest thing to ever happen.
I don't know what it is about JJK that like broke people's brains. I guess it's got the really good animation from Mappa.
And it's the opposite style of fan service. I feel like also feeds a lot of it. It's very horny, but for women instead of men.
God bless, someone had to. But it's funny. It's that author has come out and said like he's terrible at, like, he doesn't think he's good at drawing women, so he tends to just not as mumuch as he can.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Like I ain't draw in general, but like fucking, I appreciate Nanami just fucking abs out like
it's slurp. Yeah, I agree.
But like,
here's what I'll say real quick though that I do appreciate about JJK. Like, there's some interesting powers in that show. Like, I'll see like I'll read some of the shit that they're explaining about the powers, and I'm like, wow. Like this most recent chapter. So okay, do you know about Toto, the like my besto friendo guy?
Yeah.
So do you know what his power is or no? Like his main...
I don't really understand like the power system in general of that.
I don't fully either, but like one of the things Toto can do is every time he claps, he can change his position with another person. So literally just like clap and then like I'd be where you are, you'd be where I am.
It's fucking insane the shit that Toto does.
So like, but then one of the there was a villain or some bad guy, I don't know, cut off his arm, cut off one of his hands, so he couldn't clap anymore. So he got his hand replaced with like you ever heard of the term vibra-slap? It's like a weird like I don't know if it's an instrument or so. It's something that literally like you flick it and it goes.
Yeah.
So like now he can do the like change position thing, but like hundreds of times a minute. So like I was reading this recent chapter, and they're fighting Sukuna, and he's able to he literally calls it like something roulette. So like imagine you're fighting these two guys, and they're changing positions like ding 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 ding.
It's like fucking cool. Pinball levels.
I love
that. Insanity.
It's
fucking crazy.
And that's the thing about JJK. Like JJK to me is a series that has concepts that I love. But I don't like the way that the concepts are put together. Like, I will constantly see things that I'm like, that's really cool, but the world bores me, most of the characters bore me. Even the art, literally. I think the art is kind of bad, you know?
It's the same effect. Like, I recently read through fucking Demon Slayer. Like, it had great concepts, but it was 150% carried by its animation. Right, and I feel that's the same way with JJK. Like its concepts, its power system is interesting as fuck, even if my brain doesn't comprehend it. But like, I love the concepts of like a lot of the powers in that fucking series, and like there are like 4 characters I fucking care about. It reminds me of Ruby in that regard. Right, like I liked a few characters in that show, and then once it got really boring to me, I stopped really caring about the show. That's why I just read like bursts of chapters of JJK, because I'm invested enough in like the concepts and the fucking, how they can actually pull it off, and I love the fights in it. Like the fights are so well choreographed, like that is something that actually interests me. But like I'm not invested in the fucking story really. But like it's like I feel like a fight should not be able to fucking carry on for like as long as it has here, unless it's going to actually change the world of like JJK, right? Well, we can see like
it's gonna. I think this would be a problem if the series wasn't literally ending this year. Right. But like like if it was like dragging on, like it's gonna go a couple more years, and then like if some Kaguya shit happens, or
that's when I'll be like, okay, this is actual bullshit.
I doubt it. Yeah.
But like the Madara Kaguya shit in Naruto is what I think jaded me so much for drawn out fights like this too. Like because
I think if it's the villain that they've been hyping up for the whole series, you're allowed to have a long fight with that guy specifically. Yeah,
I could picture something like this being like in the final arc of One Piece as well. Like we have like one last grand battle.
What's funny about One Piece is I have a worry. My worry about One Piece is that the fight will be too short, like the because like that's usually what Oda does. Is it's way too fucking short, and you're like, no, I want more, which I guess is a mark of a good writer. You want more of what he's doing, but
right,
like Zoro Mihawk is a fight that's been set up since the beginning, and I'm sitting here like, bro, that fight needs to be minimum 5 chapters, like minimum.
No, like I totally can see that too, because like what I've read of One Piece, and my 3rd box set will be here tomorrow, so since I have time off of work, so I'll be reading that. But like I've enjoyed everything, but I do agree, like, fights in there are kind of short, so it could be that.
You can tell that Oda as an author cares more about the plot than the fights itself. He likes drawing fights, but he's not the type of author that's going to sit there and show you every part of the fight. He'll show you the important parts of the fight, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Dragon Ball Z where you're going to see every goddamn second of the fight.
Then we're going to have 7 episodes of
Well, see, and that I'm not even talking about the anime. I'm talking about strictly manga. And even in the manga, like, you know, obviously we didn't have 7 episodes of charging, but like in the manga, like you'd see you got the vibe that you'd see every part of the fight that they were having.
Where you're going like Kaioken times 5, 10, 20, and fucking finally Super Saiyan. And you're, okay, but can we get on with a goddamn fight and then it just be 2 beams and you're done, right? Like,
yeah, boring.
But like, that's just like a gripe with modern storytelling I have. I feel similarly about music, which is another thing that I'm going to actually do, because I wanted to do this during Smiling Friends, but I have a thread prepped for like music recommendations for people that I'm going to put up on the Twitter. Because that's where my mind's been focused for the last year and a half, and I've got like a definitive like recommendation list for people for the last year and a half of music. And so if you want to learn and fucking find a vibe for like what kind of shit.
Music is so subjective. You're gonna my fear with sharing music that I like is you're gonna have people be like, your taste is trash.
No, I 100% admit like some of my I also like Taylor Swift, Red. I don't care.
Damn. Like so brave.
So brave. But, like, I'm the metalhead that likes Taylor Swift, okay? Like that's like in my circle of music friends, that's like blasphemy.
Listen,
to say I like Nickelback?
I'd be willing to do a video where we go over like our top 20 songs or whatever.
I could literally film that tomorrow. But like, no. I would actually want to dig a little deeper into my discography than the shit that I've listened to the last like 6 months. But yeah, like I have that prepped. I'll put that up like probably after this video goes live, if you want to like peruse and get some like head bashingly good music, I guess would be a way to put it. 2 of my albums of the year so far would be on there, and I'm having a very, very hard time. Like, usually I can actually make an album of the year decision relatively easily. Like, nothing is going to top this. Like, last year it was Take Me Back to Eden. This year I'm having actual struggle. Like, and that's not something I've ever encountered with. So it's fun.
There's so much music that I don't even know. I get overwhelmed. I don't know like where to start. You know, I don't know what to listen to because there's so much of it out there. You know.
Well, I mean, you could, if you want to listen to like the kind of music I listen to, like check this thread out and go to their Spotify.
I will. Yeah. Well, usually I just listen to music that I hear on like shows I like. You know what I mean? Like
like Breaking Bad was a way that I kind of expanded my taste as well. Like the soundtrack around that. Last Night in Soho had like a really good retro vibe to it because it's an Edgar Wright film where you kind of get transported back into like when fucking Dr. No was in theaters, like the 50s, 60s. And like that was the music that my mom listened to. I'm like, oh, I remember hearing some of these, on CD when I was a kid. So let me dive down that. Like I wouldn't recommend any of that kind of music now because like it's so fun. Like you said, like music is suggestive, but like that, it's nice to be able to give out like, this is what I like. Maybe you'll like it too. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a good TikTok where it was like a really good idea for a date, like a date night, and you'd have to both people have to have like a lot of like attention span and like patience, but like you just pick like an album together and then you sit through and like listen to every song, and like afterwards you just discuss the song and like what you thought it meant, and then at the very end you like pick your favorite. That sounds really fun to me.
Oh yeah, like that is
especially
like,
if you're like a little high, I imagine too. That'd be really nice.
Like that's peak romance to me, honestly.
Oh,
like
me too,
I love sitting down and dissecting media like that, and especially somebody that's involved in music and studying music theory and doing all of this shit. And like actually next week I will be graduating with my fucking sound design degree, so yay.
What school?
GRCC.
Oh,
Like
really?
I went to fucking community college.
You've been doing I assume you've been doing online classes.
Yeah, like that's what I've been doing the last 6 weeks. Like cool. I had enough shit left over to transfer from fucking Davenport that I'm just like, I will take these credits and not take any goddamn gen ed classes and just take my core classes.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Beck. So we'll end it off on this. I know, because you just said like that's like peak romance to you. I know you don't want to fuck me, but I'd be down to do that as friends. Sit down, listen to albums, talk about songs. That sounds like a great night.
That would be.
We should do that. We need to hang out more often in general.
Yeah, like literally. I'm still like keeping like the same schedule I had when I was working at Amazon. So like I'm trying to keep those last 3 days strictly for like my side gigs and shit that I'm doing. But like Sunday through Wednesday, I've basically just kept open to do shit with friends and partners. Because I still need to make money, so I'm still doing like music related stuff on the side for other artists. But like that's those first 4 days of the week. Any of those, pick one, and I'd love to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I should take you to. Have we talked about the hot pot place or no? That's been like my restaurant of choice lately. Do you know what Korean hot pot is?
I have heard of hot pot. I think you talked about it during that live stream we did with the Yoast fam.
What are your allergies? Just tomatoes?
Tomatoes and strawberries are like my two.
So I guess you just have to ask, like, make sure none of the broth has tomato in it. Like, yeah, but like it's so good, bro.
Yeah, like I've been going to like various different places with my partner too, because one of my partners is actually in a band that was actually touring around the same locations we were, and so we just would go to a random restaurant in the city while we were setting up, and then we would go and do our shows because we were at 2 separate venues at most of the fucking cities that we were at there. So that was really cool.
Very cool. Well, anyway, since Vex is giving out music recommendations, I'll give out the red recommendation. I've talked about him before, but like Rustage is a YouTuber, and he runs a D&D. He runs 2 D&D campaigns that are podcasts, and I fucking love them. I love them so much. They've been keeping me sane during the unemployment arc.
Yeah.
He does a One Piece D&D and he does an isekai D&D where like a bunch of people get isekai'd into a world, and but like they're making fun of like the isekai tropes and shit.
That sounds insane though. Like, that would be really
yeah,
cool.
I mean they've killed William Shakespeare. They're working with Leonardo da Vinci. What else? Who else? They fought Julius Caesar and Genghis Khan at the same time. So it's like a bunch of historical figures are getting like isekai'd into this like fantasy world, and they're all like fighting over dominance for it.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
One of the player characters is literally a loan shark from like the 1920s Prohibition era, and he's like breaking people's kneecaps and shit.
I love this.
It's phenomenal, bro. I love his campaigns. He's a phenomenal DM. I hope I can meet Rustage one day. And also he's a cutie. Very cute. Like the bisexual. Yeah. If you want to know Red's taste in men, because like I'll admit it, I'm a picky bisexual. I'm not like
same.
I'm like 80% women, 20% men bisexual, but like
I would say like 90% like femme presenting, 10% male mask presenting. Like
Rustage is my taste in men, if you ever want to know it. He's just a cute little British boy, and I know it's in vogue to make fun of Brits, but some of them are really attractive.
I was joking in the Discord call before this. I would not move to the UK anymore, but I would take a trip there just to fuck a Cockney girl.
Oh, please, me too, man, me too.
I know that is like peak misogyny, but like I
again, not if you're respectful. It's all consensual, and like what
there would be nothing respectful about that sex.
Jesus, well, hey man, I'm not condoning whatever you're saying.
That would be like the filthiest, most disgusting.
This is I look down on you, and that makes it hotter.
Not that I look down on.
I don't know what the fuck you're saying, bro. Personally, me, I'm a woman. I'm number one woman respecter. I love all women.
Like filthy, like disgusting, like nothing. That hotel room would be getting charged to my card for sure. Bro, there would be nothing.
When you walk into a room and it smells of sex, and you're like, oh,
it's like, oh god, let somebody give me the COVID mask. 2 of them, please. This is disgusting. You know that there's nut on every surface.
Fantastic. Wow. I hope no one sends this clip to Daniel Rustage. What's his Twitter?
At Rustage.
Because I'm just over here respectfully like, I think you're very attractive, Mr. Daniel Rustage, and you run a phenomenal D&D campaign. And then my co-host here is like, I want to fuck a Cockney woman. And with that, peace.